So the agenda is over here. And practice your multiplying. Without practicing multiplying, this whole factoring is just going to be so confusing. So I wanted to be sure, rather than jumping right into factoring, which the textbook does, make sure that you are very comfortable doing the multiplying. Then you'll see why factoring, which is the reverse of the multiplying, why the factoring works. So let's do the multiplying first. Make sure you're really strong at that. And I'm hoping that a lot of you, this will be pretty easy. But I know some of you, and don't be embarrassed, it's you. Feel free if you need more help with practice multiplying. I'll give you more practice if you like in the course. Of course, there's plenty of YouTube videos about it. So let's turn off this and bring up the presentation of the practicing your multiplying. And here's my practice sheet. I'm going to work through these one at a time carefully, and raise your hand or chat if you need me to go over any of these, because you need to be good at multiplying out the polynomials so you'll know how to go the other direction. So here we go. Let's practice our polynomial multiplying. All right, I have my pen color chosen. That's ready to go. And my pad here so it doesn't mess with my keys. And this first one, remember the idea for multiplying polynomials. We do the first. That's these two. So the first is x times x. The outsides, those two, 3x. Inside is the two inside ones plus the 2x. Plus the last, that's those two. 2 times 3 plus, that's a plus 6. X squared stays by itself. There's only one x squared. There's a 3x and a 2x. Those can combine to give you 5x. And then you have the 6 by itself. You can't add a 3x to an x squared. The x squared is, there's only one x squared in there. If there's a exponent, that means it's a separate kind of x. Oh, there's more in the lobby here. Let me go open the lobby. Got someone else in. Here we go. All right, welcome from the lobby. If it beeps, I might be letting more people into the lobby. We're practicing our multiplying polynomials. So there's the answer. Can't simplify that anymore. Now, if there were a common factor, we might be checking for that, but we did the first, outside, inside, last. Combined, usually the outside and inside, since they're the same, there's a factor of x there, factor of x there, that means I have 5x total. Those usually can combine. Let's do that again on this one, and I'm just going to keep doing the FOIL in that order. X times x, the first, x squared, plus the outside, 2x, inside, the 1x, plus the last 1 times the 2 plus 2. Again, there's only one x squared. And I have 3 x's altogether, combining those two. and the 2. So as we start doing these, you'll start seeing that, hey, those outside and inside always combine. So those two outside numbers, that one and that one, adding together give us that 3. So 1 and a 2 added together give us that middle number. The last are always those last two multiplied by each other. So two numbers multiplied together give us 2, added together give us 3. They multiply together give us 2, and they add together they give us a 3. And that's something we're going to use when we go the other direction. Multiply this guy out. The first, x squared, outside 3x, plus the inside plus the 1x. I don't have to type it 1x. I could have just said x plus 3. Combining the insides, that gives us a 4x altogether. And we see that two numbers, 3 and a 1, multiplied together give us a 3. 3 plus 1 give us the 4. And we're starting with the simpler ones where we always have 1x in either part here. We're not using other factors of x. This is the easiest way to factor, but we'll come where we have a number in front of that too. But we'll start with the easier ones. So we're going in this direction, multiplying it out. If you don't understand the multiplying out part, the factoring is even going to be more confusing. So make sure that this is the easy. It should start to get kind of boring for you. Once it gets kind of boring for you, that means you're probably understanding it. If it's just boring because it's foggy, well, you got to focus a little bit more and try to understand and be able to jump right to what this will be multiplying out to. I'm going to give you a chance to think about this one now. X plus 3x times x plus 4. I'll go slow, give you a chance to write it out yourself before I show you. If you just sit and watch me, you're not going to, it's not going to stick in your mind. You're not going to remember how to do this. So try to do it, and then see if you can catch me doing it wrong. Or if you do it and I show you that it came out different, see where you got it wrong. Okay. Now I'm going to do it then. The x squared, all right, the first. The outside plus the 4x. Plus the inside, that's the 3x. Plus the last is the 3 times the 4 is 12. Combine the insides. And again, I see I have two numbers. 4 and a 3 multiplied together give me 12. 4 and 3 added together give me 7. So I see that x plus 3 times x plus 4 will give me this result. Now all that's happening now is the number is just getting a little bigger. We're still using the single factor of x. So now we have, give you a chance to work through this one. Do the firsts. Plus the outside, 5x. Plus the inside, plus the last. Combine those two because it's factor of x each together. You can never add an x squared and a 9x. That's not going to equal 10x squared, and it's not going to equal 10x. X squareds are separate from the number of x's. We can't combine those. All right, next set. First, x squared. Outside, 6x. Plus inside, 5x. Plus the last multiplied together gives us 5 times 6, 30. Combine x squared plus 11x plus 30. And meeting is blinking at me. Let's see if someone raised their hand or something here. Let's see what we have. Something's blinking. Your status is set to do not disturb. I'm not sure how that got set, but I think I'll leave it there. All right. Now send me a chat, at all if there's anything confusing about this. We'll continue the easy ones, and then we're going to start going the other direction. And we'll practice going the other direction. But if you got to understand multiplying, otherwise you won't understand the factoring part. Now let's multiply this together. First outside, inside, last. I'll start going a little faster, and hopefully you're catching up a little faster. There's the first. X squared is the easy. When you have a factor, it's a 1 in front of every x. This is the easier version. Inside, or sorry, outside, we'll do the FOIL. That'll be consistent. Outside, 7x. See, x7 and 7x, I always put the constant in the front. 7x, 6x inside. And when they multiply together, you get 42. So that's the same as x squared plus 13x plus 42. So two numbers, when they multiplied, give me 42, 7 and 6. When they add together, they give me 13. That's how we get to here. And your job is going to be going from here to here, just by having practiced the forward multiplying. Now it gets a little easier, but you got to pay attention to the sign now. So let's watch that carefully now. X squared. Now the outside is negative 2x, right? Negative 2 times x. So minus 2x. Inside is 1x. And then outside is a negative 2. The signs, guaranteed, will throw you off if you don't watch them carefully. So negative 2x plus x becomes a negative x. So x squared minus an x and minus 2. So now look, we have two numbers. When multiplied together, give us a negative 2. When added together, give us a negative 1. Negative 2, 1, and negative 2 multiplied gives you negative 2. 1 plus a negative 2 gives me a negative 1. So we're seeing two numbers that are going to be here and here. Multiplied give us this number. Added together give us this number. All right, another with a sign. First, x squared. Outside, minus a 3x. Plus a 2x on the inside. And the last multiplied together give us a minus 6. Well, combine these. That turns into a negative x again. X squared minus x minus 6. The more you practice, the better you'll understand the factoring coming up on the next page. All right. And then we'll jump to the textbook. The textbook jumps right into factoring, skips over your practice multiplying, and I think for a lot of people that makes it very confusing. So if you practice this part, you'll see why this works the other direction. So there's the first. Again, there's that x squared again. Inside plus 3x, or sorry, outside minus 4x. Did it the wrong order. Minus 4x plus the inside, that's a plus 3x. And it's a minus 12. So I'm getting similar things where I am subtracting 4, adding 3, ending up with a total of minus 1. X squared minus x, and I have the minus 12. So 4 times 3 gives us 12, but because I have a negative in there, one of them has to be negative and one's positive. Minus 4 plus a 3 will give us the minus the 1x in the middle. And I get a minus 4 times 3 gives me a minus 12. So that's where the minus 4 minus 3, I know it's going to end up with a minus 12 in the end. You start seeing that, hey, I know it's always going to be an x squared, and I know it's going to end up with a minus 20 at the end. I just have to figure out how many x's I have left. But rather than skip that work, let's do the FOIL multiply. X squared first minus the outside 5x plus the 4x inside minus the 20. X squared, again, I have one more subtracted than added, minus x minus 20. So you see a pattern going on here. When you have a negative, there's going to be a plus and a minus in the x plus something and an x minus something if there's a negative last term. Let's see if we ever get a positive x. First, x squared. Outside, minus 6x. Inside plus 5x. And multiplied together gives us a minus 30. That's the last. And x squared minus x minus 30. 6 times 5, difference of 1. So we know there's a 6 and a 5 involved. And since I have a negative there, I'm going to be subtracting a 6, adding the 5. Multiplying this out, x squared. There we go, and minus a 7x plus a 6x. And multiplied together gives us a minus 42. X squared minus x minus 42. Now, both are negative. So I'm going to be taking away 3x and taking away another 4x. But when they multiply together, it gives me a plus 12. So I'm going to do x squared minus a 4x, minus the outside, multiplied, minus a 4x, minus a 3x when I multiply the insides, minus a 3x. But negative 4 times negative 3 gives me a plus 12. So, combine those, minus a total of 7x, x squared, minus 7x, but a plus 12. So 4 times 3 gives us 12, but I'm subtracting 4 and subtracting another 3 to give us the minus 7x there. So 4 and 3 are the two numbers, but they're both subtracting. And so you see how we'll get this came from that being multiplied. One more multiply, and then we'll start going the other direction, which is then the goal for this chapter. All right, the first, x squared minus 6x minus the outside, minus 5x minus the inside, and negative 5 times negative 6 is a plus 30. So combine x squared minus 11x plus 30. So 5 times 6 gives us 30. Negative 5 minus another 6 gives us a minus 11. Added together gives us minus 11. Multiplied together gives us 30. And our last practice multiply, the simple multiply, factor of 1 in front of both x. X squared minus the outside, minus 3x, minus the 7x inside, and together multiplied gives us a plus 21. 7 times 3 gives us a plus 21. Combined gives us x squared minus 10x plus 21. So 3 and a 7 added together give us a 10, but we need a negative 10, so subtracting both a 3 and a 7, and since they're both negative, multiplied together, gives us the positive 21. So I'm hoping now, if you ever see this, you'll think to yourself, ooh, that's a 7 times 3 gives us 21, and I subtract both 7 and a 3, that gives us a minus 10. The idea is, seeing this, you'll recognize, oh, that gets me factors that look just like this. But now we're going to do that factoring with possibly different numbers. We may actually come up with the same, but they're supposed to be sort of random. So now let's go to the next page where we're given a single x squared, and now we have to figure out what got us to this set of numbers. What got us this? What would be the factor of this? So here's one way to do it. And here's the common way. We do the little x over here. And we're looking for two numbers, here and here, that when let me make sure I do the right order here. I'm going to take a look at the textbook and make sure I do this x the right way to not mess you up. I'm going to look for two numbers that when we add them together, we get a certain number, and when we multiply them together, we get the other number. So let me bring up the textbook so I get it right. They show you the x right here. It's Yeah, the multiply is the top one. The added together is the bottom one. So I want to be sure I did that right. Didn't want to mess you up. So remember, it's the top one multiplied together gives you those two numbers. All right, so when I multiply them together, what am I going to get? I'm going to get a 6 when I multiply them together. That's when they're multiplied. They'll give me a 6. When they're added, they'll give me a 5. So think down here, we add them together to get a 5. We multiply them and we get a 6. Well, this one's going to be easy, but let's look at it systematically. We have to look at what are the factors of this top number. 6 is a 1 times 6, 2 times 3, 3 times 2, well then they're just reverse. So the only factors possible for this is 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Well, 2 and 3 are the two that when multiplied give us 6 and added to give us 5. 2 and 3 then become the things we add to x. In one place or another. So x plus 2 and x plus 3. Multiplied, give us the last, give us 6. 2x plus a 3x, give us 5x. And the x squareds are together. So we use our little magic x to find what are the two factors, two numbers that will give us. Factoring that out into two polynomials to give us that. All right, so let's say we know it's going to look something like this, x plus something. And I know it's going to be a plus because there's pluses in both of these. And an x plus something. And let's just go through the routine here. When I multiply them together, I'm going to get what? I'm going to get a 2. When I add them together, I'm going to get the middle number, the 3. Well, what two numbers? The only factors of 2 are 1 and 2, so that was an easy one for you. 1 and a 2. Added together give us 3, multiplied give us 2. So x plus 1 times x plus 2. Of course, we're going to give you easy ones to start with. Now let's factor this one. Let's do that same thing. The x multiplied together gives us the 12. Added together gives us 7. Well, let's find the factors of 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, ding, ding, ding. 3 and 4 added together give us 7. Multiplied together gives us 12. So I can stop right there. So I know then that here is going to be x plus 3 times x plus 4. Now getting just a little bit harder. Let you think about this one here. Your little x multiplied together gives us 20. Added together gives us 9. Factors of 20. 1 and 20. 2 and 10. 3. No, there's 4 and 5. And I see when they're added together, I get 9. So 4 and 5 are my two numbers. Multiply gives us 20. Add gives us 9. So it's x plus 4 times x plus 5. Next one's a pretty easy one, but let's go through the motions. Multiplied together gives us that 3. Added together gives us the 4. Factors of 3 are 1 and 3. And look at that, they add together to give us 4. So therefore, it's going to look like x plus 1 times x plus 3. This looks scary, but don't panic. Do the little work on the table. Multiplied together gives us 28. Added together, they're going to be 11. So what are the factors of 28? 1, 28. 2 and 14. There's no factor 3. 4 and 7. 4 times 7. And if I recognize, oh, when they add together, 4 and 7 give us 11. I don't have to go any further, and there is no other factors when I get 7, 4, 14, 2. So 4 and 7. Multiply 28, added 11, so therefore x plus 4 times x plus 7. Doesn't matter what order you put these in, as long as you have the two factors. Now we'll be using these factors later on to understand our polynomial quadratic. Quadratic meaning it has a x squared in it. All you worry about right now is factoring it to understand it better. Do the practice over here. Multiplied together, we're going to get what? A 5. Added together, we're going to get a 6. That's the middle number. All the factors of 5, 1 and 5, and we can stop right there. They add together to give us 6. And 5 being a prime number, there is no other choice except 1 and a 5. So x plus 1 times x plus 5. Uh-oh, now we've got some signs to throw in here. Now we've practiced the easy ones. Now let's pay attention to the sign. So we come over here, do the same thing. This time it's a negative 18. Two numbers that will multiplied will give us negative 18. When they're added together, they give us a negative 3. So let's look at the factors of 18. 1 and 18. 2 and 9. 3 and 6. And what we're looking for is the difference between them will be a 3. And we see that 3 minus a 6 will give us a negative 3. And a 3 times a negative 6 will give us a negative 18. So 3 and a minus 6. Now the signs make a difference because we need this to be negative, and we know that one is positive, one is negative if I have a negative here. So it's a plus 3 minus 6. And I can see that if I just multiply that out, I know I'm going to get an x squared, those first. I'll get a plus 3x and a minus a 6x will give us the minus 3, and then the last multiplied gives us the minus 18. Now it's just a tiny bit different. Well, let's go through that. You can probably guess what it's going to be by just looking, but let's go through it's going to be multiplied, give us minus 18. Added together gives us a 3, positive 3. So again, we have 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and a 6. Those are the two that have a difference of 3, but this time it's a plus 6 and a minus 3. You don't have to put the plus there, but be sure to put the minus in front of the 3. Multiplied that, added that. So it's a x plus 6, x minus 3. is the factor of that quadratic polynomial. Multiply minus 24. Added gives us 5. Uh-oh. Now I need the factors of 24. 1, 24. 2 and 12. 3 and 8. Oh, there's a difference of 5. I have a positive 5 and a minus 24. So the negative, it has to go on the negative 3 to give me negative 24, and 8 minus 3 gives me a positive 5. So a negative 3 and a positive 8. And I just do then carry it over, x minus 3, x plus 8. And to check your answer, you can always do the multiply out. You're going to get the x squared minus 3x plus 8x gives us the plus 5, and minus 24 when I multiply the last. Multiplied together gives us a minus 12. Added together gives us a 4. What are the factors of 12? 1 and 12. 2 and 6. Oh, I see the difference in 2 and 6 is 4. So if I'm getting a positive 4 left, I must be subtracting 2, adding 6, because when they multiply then, I will get a negative 12. When I add them, I get a positive 4. So x minus 2 times x plus 6. Multiply it out, x squared, yep. Outside gives us plus 6 minus the 2x, there's my 4, and then the minus 12, negative 2 times 6. Now a slightly different sign here, simpler one. Multiplied together, I get to numbers that give me 2, positive 2. Added together give me a minus 3. Well, let's see here. The only factors of 2 are 1 and a 2, but they have to both be negative because they add together to give me a minus 3. And negative 1 times negative 2 gives me a positive 2. So that's going to be x minus 1 times x minus 2. Well, 2 minuses gives us that middle number will be negative and the last number will be positive. So you see a pattern going on here as we practice the factoring. All right. Write it out. Multiply. They give you 6. Added together gives me minus 5. The factors of 6 are 1 and 6. Oh, there's a difference of 5 right there. So if I take away 6 and add 1, actually, wait a minute. I'm multiplying 2. They have to both be negative. So although the difference is a 5 there, we have to go to the next one. 2 times 3 gives us 6. They're both negative. They'll give me then added together a minus 5. And when they both are negative and multiplied, they give me a 6. So that's a negative 2 and a negative 3. So if it were a minus 6 and a minus 5, then it would have been the 1 and a 6. But it's a negative 5 and a plus 6. So I have to be subtracting both of the middle ones to give me the -5. Multiplying gives me the +6. So that would be x minus 2 times x minus 3. Practice multiplying it out. Yep, x squared minus 2x minus 3, another 3, that gives me minus 5x total, and then multiply plus 6. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. I really got to watch those signs, or you can end up with the wrong choice. All right, 3 more. And then we'll go to the textbook and start working on the more complicated ones. Multiplied gives us 12, a positive 12. Added together gives us a -7. Factors of 12. 1 and 12. 2 and 6. 3 and 4. Oh, there I go. If they're both negative, they'll give me a -7, and multiplied will give me a positive 12. So added together, -3 plus a -4 gives me -7, multiplied gives me 12. So x minus 3 times x minus 4. So once I figure out what these numbers are, those are what become what gets added to my x in either piece. And because it's an x squared, I know it's only going to be 2 groups with an x in there. Multiplied, going to give me a 10. Added, going to give me a -7. Factors of 10. 1 and 10. 2 and 5. And those are the only factors of 10. And I see that these added together give me a -7 if they're both negative. And when they're both negative, multiplied, give me a 10. So -2, -5. Those become what gets added to x. X minus 2, x minus 5. Check it by multiplying out. X squared minus 5x minus another 2x gives me -7, and plus the 2 multiplying, plus 10. Last one, and then we're going to start looking at a little more challenge. And we'll go there by actually doing some multiplying of the more challenging one. All right, multiplied out gives me 18. Added together gives me a -9. Factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and a 9, 3 and a 6. Added together give me a 9. If they're both negative, I'll get a -9. And multiplied give me positive 18, so it's -3, -6. And now I can find the solution to that factoring. X minus 3 times x minus 6. And there I have the proper factoring. And to check my answer, multiply it out. First, x squared outside minus 6x minus another 3x gives me a -9x. -3 times -6 gives me the 18. So now we've multiplied out. Now we practice the factoring on simple solutions. Let's now take a look at the textbook as we practice factoring there. And I'll bring up my other practice in a second here. So let me go up to there and select. And zoom in a little bit here. And go through how the textbook explains this about the same. See if I can move that over a bit. There we go. A little too small. We'll go a little small. There we go. I want to see the whole page. All right, so now the textbooks basically explain the same thing, but I think maybe might have rushed through it a little bit. So, but they do explain that little factoring part. And we have this particular example where two numbers multiplied give us 20, added gives us 5, or gives us 9, and we find that x plus 4 and x plus 5. Here's one. They did the same kind of thing where you have, I'll write this out a little more readable here for you, where we have the two numbers that when they multiplied give us a negative 45. When they're added, they give us a negative 4. And then we find the factors of 45. 1, 45, 2, 3 times 15, 4, not 5 times 9. Oh, the difference in the two is 4. So I want negative 4, so I have to subtract 9 and add 5. That will give me, multiply that, add, gives me that. So therefore I get x plus 5 times x minus 9 is the factored form of that. So here's where they give you the pairs. Basically, I look at the positive pairs and then look for, oh, I need a negative 4, so which one gets the negative attached to it? So I see the difference of 4 between them. Now they're going to start factoring another way, but before practicing factoring, when we have something in front of the x squared, let's first practice multiplying some of those just to have a better understanding of where that's coming from. If you jump right into here, it can be kind of confusing. So let's do some practice multiplying of these. And I have a practice multiply pop up here. Where did it go? Here's some practice multiplies with a factor in front of the x, one of the x's. Without knowing why the multiplying is working out that way, you're just going to be really confused. So let's do a few of these to give you a really good understanding. And I think the factoring will come out a lot better for you. So again, we do the FOIL method. First, this time we do have the 2x in front of that, so that becomes a 2x squared. Outside, that becomes the 6x. The inside becomes another 2x. And then plus the 6. Those two can combine, and I get 2x squared plus 8x plus 6. Now, one thing you'll see here, there is also a common factor of 2 here that I could see right there, that there's a 2 times an x plus 1 there. And that all got multiplied. So you could also say, well, that's also a 2 times x squared plus 4x plus 3. And this would be a little easier to see what that is factored by. That's an x plus 1 times an x plus 3. I could recognize, oh, there's a 2, a common factor of 2 hanging around right there. And that's something that you do when you see this. You can right away factor out the 2 to sometimes, well, very often, it will simplify the factoring of that part that's left. To see how that factoring out of 2 left you with a single x squared, going back to this simpler form of factoring. So let's multiply this out. There we have another extra 2 in there. Let's just multiply it out. So the first 2x squared plus a 2x, or so with the outside plus a 2x plus inside another 2x plus a 2. Oh, that's a 2x squared plus a 4x plus 2. Or factor out the 2, that could be 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 1. And you see the factoring of that, you see, well, that's x plus 1 times x plus 1. That's kind of a special double x plus 1 in there. But all we're doing now is just practicing going forward. So when we do the factoring, we'll see how that works. 3x squared first, plus the outside, that's a 9x, plus the inside, plus just the x, plus the 3. Combine those two, that's 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. No common factors, so the 10s and the 3 stay there. 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. Multiply this out. First, outside 4x, inside 9x, last 12. Combine the two x's. No common factors, so I can't pull out any constants. And the number just getting slightly larger here. Oh, look at that. There is a, could have factored out a 4 there. We'll multiply it out and see how that 4 factor will come in later on. So first, 4x squared plus 5 times 4x, 20x, plus another 4x, plus 20. So I get a 4x squared plus 24x plus 20. Now do you see the common factor of 4 in there? That's equal then to 4 times x squared plus 6x plus 5. So if you're ever given this, first factor out the 4 and it'll make your life easier to factor this out and get you back to what we knew was multiplying to get that. 4 times x plus 1 times x plus 5. Oh, and I see there's a factor of 2 hiding in there, but let's multiply it out. First is 4x squared. Outsides plus a 6x. Inside plus a 20x. And the last is 30. Combine them, and then we'll factor out at least a 2. That's going to be 4x squared plus 26x plus 30. Now I can factor out 2. That divided by 2 gives us 13, so that gets a prime number. So I can at least simplify it to 2 times 2x squared plus 13x plus 15. This will be slightly easier to factor than that, having the 2 out of there, but not a ton easier. Remember, we're doing the multiply, so we see when we factor, understanding it, well, we're getting back to something like this. We're going forward in the multiply just so we understand better the factoring. Multiply the first. 6x squared. Outside, 7 times 2x, 14x. Plus the inside, plus 18x. Plus the last, multiplied together, 42. Six x squared plus 18 plus 14 gives us 32x plus 42. Well, let's see here. I have 3 and a 2. This is 32. It's 16 times 2. So it looks like I only can factor out a 2. So it's 2 times 3x squared plus 16x plus 21. Those have a factor of 3, but this doesn't have a factor of 3, so I can't factor out the 3. All right, let's bring that up on the screen a little bit. I'm going to finish up this set, and then I just have a few to factor. You practice at this factoring. Then we'll look at the systems that they have. The system they give you, they just kind of throw it right at you without you really having a chance to understand it. But having multiplied it out, you'll see how those factoring works when we come to the system. So first, 4 times 3, that gives us 12x squared. Outside, we have a sign to work with now, minus 8x plus the 3x minus 2. Giving us then 12x squared minus 8 plus 3 gives us a minus 5x, and we still have the minus 2. No common factor, so that's as simple as I can get it. So when you go the other direction, you'll see, oh, there's something in front that will multiply by together to give us 12, and something that's being subtracted or added will give us a negative 2 in the last part, and then we just have to find out what combination will give us the minus the 5. All right, multiply this out. The first, 2x squared. Outside, again, pay attention to that negative, minus 6x plus the 2x and the minus 6. And we might have a factor of 2. Let's find out. 2x squared minus 6 plus 2 gives us a minus 4. and a minus 6 still in there. And yes, there is a 2 we can factor out. X squared minus 2x minus 3. And where do we see? We could have seen that right here. That has a 2 times x plus 1. So we could recognize right there that I know there's a factor of 2 I could factor out of that. Now sometimes, usually you're given this, and it's up to you to recognize first to factor out the 2, and then simplify this part, to factor that part. So usually you're not given the factor of 2 in there. You're given something that may have a factor of 2 hiding. Recognize by factoring out something, it usually makes it simpler to solve after factoring out the common factor. Multiply this out. What do we get? 3x squared minus 4x. That's the outside. Plus 9x minus the 12. That gives us 3x squared. Minus 4 plus 9, that gives us a positive 5x. And still minus the 12. No common factors, so that's final multiplying. I do see here that there is a 4 times an x plus 1. We'll leave it in there and do the multiply as is. 4x squared minus 20x plus the inside plus the 4x and minus the 20. Give us total 4x squared minus the 20 plus 4, that gives me a minus 16x. Still have the minus 20. And I can see I could factor out the 4. If I were being asked to simplify, I would do that first. And just to show that, I know that that would be x, 4 times x squared, minus 4x, minus 5. Which is much simpler to factor than that. Let's see here. I haven't done that over here. We don't have a common factor, so this should give us a first. That's a 5x squared. And a minus a 6, so the minus 6x. Plus 25x. And a minus 30. Gives us 5x squared. 25 minus 6 gives us 19. Minus 30. And 19 is prime, so I can tell there is no factor. Even though 5 and 30 have a common factor, you can't factor anything out of the 19. Here I see that, oh, I could have factored a 3 out of there, so in my final solution, after I multiply, I should see a factor of 3 in there. But let's go ahead and multiply it out. 3x squared minus 21x plus 6x minus 42. Combine the middles. Minus 21 plus 6. That gives us minus 15. And I see I can factor out a 3. If I wanted to start simplifying it, that's 3 times x squared minus 5x minus 12. No, minus 14. 14 times 3 gives us 42. 12 times 3 is 36. All right, just a few more, just for practicing the multiply. Then we'll practice factoring the other direction. First, 3x squared. Outside, minus 4x. Inside, minus 9x. Last, plus 12. See, with the two minuses multiplied, give us that plus 12. So that gives us 3x squared minus 13x plus 12. With the prime number in there, there's no factoring I can do. All right, the last of the multiplies, then we'll do some couple factors of that type, and then we'll look at the general form of factoring. Now this one is kind of interesting. You have a minus 5 and a plus 5. Let's see what we get. Well, the first, x squared, outside becomes a plus 5x. Inside it becomes a minus 5x. And last is a minus 25. Well, those two cancel out. That becomes x squared minus 25. So when you have a difference of squares, that means you had an x plus something and an x minus something multiplying each other. Let's take a look at this one. X squared, outside plus 7x, inside minus 7x, and multiplied together gives us a minus 49, which is a square 7 squared. So that equals x squared minus 49. So when you see a square, a difference of two squares, an x squared, and recognize that as being 5 squared, automatically know that that's a x minus 5 times x plus 5. That's a very special type of quadratic. When you see the difference of squares, you know you can factor it very quickly. Now, let's just do some factoring here. Let's try the guess technique of factoring this now. If I have a 2x squared at the start, everything is positive. So I'm pretty sure it's going to look something like 2x plus something times x plus something. Well, the two somethings, when they multiplied, they're going to be equal to 6, right? And so it looks like it's going to be maybe a 3 and a 2, but let's see here. The middle has to give us a combination of total of 7. So if I put a 3 here, I'd be adding a 3x, and I put a 2 here, I'd be adding a 2 times 2, 4x. Hey, that will work out pretty well. So let's add a 3x and a 2. I'll get the 2x squared. I get the 6 at the end. And inside, I get 3x plus 4x. And look at that. I factored that by just taking a guess of what I'm going to get when I just have a 2x and a 1x at the beginning. So sometimes when it's simple enough, you can just take a reasonable guess at what the two beginning factors are going to be, and then figure out, well, let's see, the 2 need to multiply out to give me 6, but then there's this combination with the 2 and the 3 to give me a total of 7 when I multiply this and that and add them together, the outside and inside. Let's try that again on this one, just to the guess part. Let's do a, well, they're all positive, so I think I'm going to start with, one's going to be a 2x plus something, and this is going to be an x plus something, and the somethings are going to multiply out and give me 2, so there's going to be a 1 and a 2 here. So if I put a 1 here, I'll have a 2x plus a 2x, and that'll give me a 4, but I need a 5. What if we put the 2 here? I'll get a 4 here and a 1 more here when I multiply that and add the outside and inside. And that looks like that'll give me a 4x plus another x, and that'll give me the 5x total. And there I have. Take a guess and fill in to find out a factoring of that. So a experiment or try it is one of the first things they show as a technique. But as the numbers get larger, you can be a little more systematic at it. But let's try it with these others. Let's see if we can just figure out what factoring will give me that middle 13. Let's do that one with here. Let's see, 3, since it's a prime number, that's one reason, that's one way that makes this easy. When that's a prime number, you know if it's going to be factorable in a nice way, that there will be a 3x, and they're all positive, so it's going to be plus something, and an x plus something. Now the somethings need to multiply out to give me 12. Well, and let's see, our factors of 12, remember, are 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, and 4. Okay, what we're looking for is somehow, when they're multiplied by an x and a 3x, I'll end up with a total of 13. Let's see here. If I have, let's do the 1 and the 12. If I have a 1 here and a 12 here, well, I'm going to be, 12 times 3 is going to be 36. It's going to be way too big. If I have a 12 here and a 1 here, well, it's going to be 12 plus a 3. That'll give me 15. So closer, but no way in a 1 and a, well, a 1 and a 12 in combination with multiplying by a 3 give me a 13. But how about we try this? A 6 and a 2. Well, let's see. If I put a 6 here, I'm already multiplying by 3. I already got 18. So I can't put a 6 here. But if I put a 2 here, I'll have a 2 times 3 will give me a 6. Plus another 6 gives me 12. Oh, not quite right, but getting closer. Let's try a combination of 3 and the 4. Let's see. A 3 here will give me a 9. 9x. And a 4 here will give me another 4x. Oh, and that gives me exactly 13x. So 3 times 3x, 9x. And with the 4 here, gives me the 13x. And I have the multiplied together gives me 12. So again, with the simple, well, fairly simple factor on the x squared, I can kind of take a guess already what it's going to look like. And with a little bit of experimenting, find out what to put there. That's the experimental method of finding the answer. Let's do 2 more, and then we'll take a look in a textbook of how they explain a slightly more complicated way that I'll try to go over next week. Let's do another. Looks like it ought to be a 3x plus something, because they're both positive, and an x plus something. And it's going to multiply out and give me 20. So again, 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 3, oh, doesn't factor, 4 times 5. And we want to get a 19. Well, I have a 5 here. 5 times 3 will give me a 15. And then add another 4, and I get a 19. Oh, works out perfect. If I didn't see that, I say, well, if I put a 20 here, oh, well, already way above. 20 times 3 gives me 60. 20 here, well, I can't use 20 because I can't end up with more than 20. 2 and 10, 10 here plus 2 times 3, that gives me 16. Not quite enough. And so the 4 and the 5, well, if 5 goes here, I get 5x plus a 5 times plus a 12. That gives me 17. Not quite right. But if I put a 4x here and a 5 there, give me the 15x. That'll give me the 19. And then multiplied together give me the 20. Last one, and we'll end here. Let's try 3x plus something. Again, they're both positive. Both positive there, so I know it's going to be plus everywhere. And then x plus something here. Oh, and it's an easy one. It's factors of 3. Well, it's only a 1 and a 3. So I know a 3 goes somewhere and a 1 goes somewhere else. Let's see here. If I put the 3 here, well, the outside's going to give me a 9x and a 1x. That's too many. So then we just switch places of the 3. A 3x here and another 3x. Oh yeah, added together gives me 6x for the outside and inside added together. And I have that factored. So gave you some easier factorings. We could factor by hand or call it the guess method. Guess and check. Those are when they're easy numbers. We're going to look at the systematic way of finding how to factor these next time. Check the videos. They'll help you do a search for polynomial factoring. If this textbook at all is confusing, plenty of YouTube videos out there to help you. Have a great day. And this is recorded, so you can come back and review anything that might have been confusing.